Since we were kids, we've all been sold this one simple idea. Work hard and you'll get rich. It feels right, doesn't it? It sounds fair. But what if that core belief, the one we've built our entire approach to money on, what if it's not the whole story? What if it's kind of a lie? Let's dig into that.
So let's just ask the question point blank. Does working hard actually make you rich? I mean, we're told it does. We see people praised for it all the time. But does putting in more hours, more sweat, more effort automatically punch your ticket to financial freedom? Well, it turns out the answer is way more complicated than we've been led to believe.
And here's where it gets a little weird. If wealth was just a simple equation of hard work, then the people putting in the most backbreaking labor, we're talking construction workers, farmers, single parents working 2 jobs, they'd be the wealthiest people in the world. But we all know that's just not how it works. And look, this has nothing to do with their effort. It has to do with playing a completely different game.
Yeah, let's just call it what it is. The hard work myth. The formula isn't totally wrong, but it's missing some absolutely critical ingredients. It's kind of like trying to bake a cake, but you only have flour and sugar. I mean, you can stir as hard as you want for as long as you want, but you are not going to get a cake.
This right here is the real issue. The problem isn't that you're lazy or that you're not trying hard enough. The problem is that most of us were handed the rule book for the wrong game. We're out on the field, we're giving it 110%, but the goalposts, they're not even on the same continent.
Okay, so this brings us to the absolute heart of the matter. It all boils down to 2 totally different ways of thinking about money. There's the system for earning an income, and then there's a system for building wealth, and they are not the same thing.
These are the 2 paths, right here. On the left, that's what most of us are taught to do. We trade our time, this finite resource, for a paycheck. It's active, it's one-to-one. But on the right, that's the path to actual wealth. That's where you build systems where your money and your assets are the ones working 24/7, even when you're sleeping. And understanding this one difference, it changes everything.
This is what we call the time trap. And trust me, it is a trap. Your potential to earn money is always going to be capped by the fact that there are only 24 hours in a day. You can't clone yourself, you can't work forever. In this system, the second you step off that treadmill, the money stops. It's not a path forward, it's just running in place. So, okay, let's say you do get really good at running on that treadmill. You manage to earn more money. Well, even then, there are these invisible forces working against you, keeping you stuck. Let's look at the 2 big ones that keep even high-income people feeling broke.
First up, we've got lifestyle inflation. This one is sneaky. You know the drill, right? You get a raise or a promotion. Awesome. So you get a slightly nicer car, a bigger apartment, you add a few more streaming services, and then, poof, all of a sudden your expenses have magically risen to meet your new income, and you're right back where you started, just with shinier stuff. It's why somebody making 100 grand can feel just as stretched as when they were making 50.
This quote just nails it. Feeling richer is not the same thing as being freer. When all your bills and obligations just grow along with your paycheck, you're not actually building any real freedom. You're just building a nicer prison, one where you're still totally dependent on that next paycheck to keep the whole thing from collapsing.
The second big trap is just plain old fear. The fear of taking a risk, the fear of making a mistake, the fear of losing the security you have. It can be absolutely paralyzing. It makes us cling to the safety of a steady job instead of chasing growth. But here's the crazy part. Doing nothing is also a massive risk. Inflation is nibbling away at your savings every single day. Staying put is its own kind of gamble.
So, how in the world do you escape these traps? Well, this brings us to the real engine of wealth. It's called ownership. And this is not about working harder. It's about a complete change in strategy, shifting your focus from your personal effort to owning assets. I mean, look at the difference here. It couldn't be clearer. When you don't own anything that produces value, your income is forever chained to your labor. But the moment you own assets, you snap that chain. Your ability to earn is no longer limited by the hours you can physically show up and work.
So what exactly are these assets? Well, it's just a fancy word for things that make money without you having to be there every second. It could be a business that has systems and employees. It could be investments like stocks or real estate that grow and pay you over time. It could even be intellectual property, like a song or a book or a piece of software that can sell over and over again. It's anything that scales beyond your own 2 hands.
Now here's the really important part. Building assets is not a get-rich-quick thing.
In fact, it's the exact opposite. It demands a totally different mindset. You know, when you spend money, you get an instant reward. But when you invest it, the reward is delayed. The results are invisible at first, and that requires some serious patience and the discipline to say no to the shiny thing today for a much bigger reward tomorrow.
Look, this isn't about telling you to stop working hard. Not at all. It's about taking all that amazing effort you're already putting in and just aiming it in the right direction. So let's put these pieces together and draw a new financial map, one that combines your hard work with a strategy that actually gets you somewhere.
All right, here it is, your new formula. Think of it like a road trip. Your hard work, that's the engine. It's powerful. It gives you the horsepower. But an engine with no steering wheel is just going to crash, right? So you need a map. That's your strategy. Your discipline, that's the fuel in the tank that keeps you going. And the final destination, the whole point of the trip, ownership.
And this leads us to a much, much more powerful definition of wealth. Forget about the size of your paycheck for a second. True wealth is about time. It's measured in days or months or years. If you stopped working today, how long could you live your life without needing to trade your time for money? That is the real measure of financial freedom.
And let's be super clear about something. The point of all this is not to get rich so you can sit on a beach and do nothing for the rest of your life. I mean, you can if you want, but the real goal is to stop depending on your work for survival. It's about building a foundation of security so that work becomes a choice, something you do because you want to, not because you have to.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Your job, your 9 to 5, it pays the bills today. It takes care of your present. But what are you actively building on the side, with your savings, with your strategy, that's going to pay for your future, for tomorrow, and next year, and all the years after that? Because that question, that changes everything.